Have you ever stopped to think about how time can silently and relentlessly affect your soul? It's not just the body that ages over the years. The soul, if not cared for, can also become lost in the currents of fear, procrastination, and disconnection. With every unacknowledged mistake, every unnoticed habit, we accelerate the aging of our very essence. But what if I told you there's a way to reverse this? A way to restore your soul's youth, revitalize your mind, and live again with purpose, balance, and inner peace. In this video, we'll explore the 11 mistakes you might be making without even realizing it, which are aging your soul faster than you think. We'll talk about the habits that distance you from self-awareness, self-care, and true freedom. And the best part, with Stoic philosophy, we'll show you how to correct these mistakes and achieve a fulfilling life where your soul remains youthful, vibrant, and full of purpose. Get ready for a deep and transformative reflection. By the end of this video, you'll have tools to let go of everything holding you back from living more authentically and balanced. It's not about changing everything at once, but taking the first step on a journey of self-transformation. Now, I want to know, what's the biggest mistake you think you've been making in your life that's aging your soul? Share it in the comments, tell us your experience, and let's walk this path of inner growth together. If you're ready for this transformation, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The past has an incredible power over our lives. It pulls us, drags us back to a time that no longer exists, like a river carrying us downstream without the chance to swim back. And it's in this attachment to what's gone, in the memories that suffocate us, that one of the biggest mistakes we make lies: living in the past. When you carry an excessive load of regrets, guilt, or broken dreams, it's as if you're adding stones to your emotional backpack, not noticing how they weigh you down with every step. Stoicism teaches us to look at the present with clarity, without the clouded lens of unfulfilled expectations or past mistakes. The freedom to live in the now, without being imprisoned by what can no longer be changed, is the true youth of the soul. Imagine, for a moment, the weight of an old box of memories, filled with moments we can no longer relive but insist on opening every day. Every time we look back, we fail to see what's in front of us. We lose the present, and with it, we let our soul age. The Stoics teach us the art of letting go of what we cannot control, and in doing so, our soul becomes lighter, freer. It's not about forgetting the past, but learning to live with it in a way that strengthens us, not weakens us. What has been lived has already served its purpose. Now it's time to live the present with all the fullness it offers. Letting go of the past doesn't mean losing the lessons it offers, but understanding that the soul ages when it's trapped in memories that prevent growth. As the great philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that defines your happiness." It's not about erasing what's behind, but having the courage to look forward with confidence, with eyes set on what you can build, not what's already lost. And so, by freeing ourselves from this prison, our soul is revitalized, allowing us to grow fully. However, there's a second mistake, often more subtle than we imagine, that also accelerates the aging of the soul. It's curious how often we lose ourselves trying to please others, seeking external validation, when the true secret to a fulfilling life lies in looking within. Ignoring who you truly are, what drives you, what makes you vibrate, is a fatal mistake for the soul. A lack of self-awareness is like a garden without direction. The roots become tangled, the fruits never ripen, and the beauty of life is overshadowed by a purposeless existence. Stoicism teaches us that by deeply knowing ourselves, we can achieve true inner freedom. There's no way to be truly free without knowing who we are. And by ignoring our essence, we age without realizing it, merely existing instead of living. Self-awareness isn't a luxury or a pastime. It's a vital necessity. The constant practice of reflecting on our actions, emotions, and desires brings clarity to the path we choose to walk. Imagine your mind as a vast field full of plants. Without understanding the terrain, without knowing yourself, you allow weeds to take over, and growth becomes chaotic. Only by looking inward, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, do you become the gardener of your own life, shaping your reality to reflect your true essence. What happens when we let this field grow unchecked? We age. Our soul loses vitality because we're being dragged by external influences, disconnected from our deepest self. When we don't know ourselves, life becomes a series of reactions to external stimuli. Decisions are based on what others expect or what we think we should be, not what we truly are. Thus, the soul becomes a distorted reflection of what it could be, without shine, without authenticity. The journey of self-awareness is long but deeply rewarding. Each step toward understanding who we are brings renewal, a restored youth to the soul. As Socrates said, "Know thyself, for it's this knowledge that gives us the key to true freedom." And as we begin to understand our essence, we realize there's more to learn, more to uncover, more to live. But what happens when we neglect self-care? We live in a society that constantly tells us what we should do for others, care for our children, friends, or work. The reality is, we often forget to care for the one behind it all, ourselves. Self-care isn't a whim or a fleeting luxury. It's a vital necessity for maintaining the health of the mind and soul. When we don't give ourselves the chance to pause, breathe, and reflect, we're simply letting our energy dissipate without replenishing what's essential. The soul, without care, wears out like a field without fertilizer, water, or attention. Over time, the signs of wear begin to show. The mind becomes foggy, the spirit weakens, and life loses its shine. Self-care is, in fact, an act of self-love, of respect for the life we have. It's not just about physical health, but mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Imagine you're a gardener, and your soul is the garden. If you neglect the soil, the plants wither, and the fruits never appear. Self-care is watering your soul, allowing moments of rest, and practicing daily reflection. Without it, we're doomed to a life of stress, running from one task to another, but never feeling truly fulfilled. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from within, from our ability to keep the mind balanced and calm, and this is only possible when we care for ourselves. Self-care isn't selfishness. It's an investment in our mental and emotional health that reverberates in every area of our lives. As the great philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Care for your mind as if it were the only thing you have." Because without a healthy mind, no material wealth or external success can bring peace. If we neglect self-care, we allow our soul to age, as the mind and body are in constant communication. The balance between the two is the key to a full and long life. Caring for yourself isn't just an action, but a constant state of inner vigilance, a daily decision to prioritize what's essential. When we allow ourselves this moment of mindfulness, of self-love, we discover that life becomes lighter, deeper, and full of purpose. And when we talk about self-care, we encounter a very common mistake: living for others. The relentless pursuit of others' approval is a subtle poison that slowly erodes the true essence of who we are. We live in a world where we often let ourselves be shaped by others' expectations, trying to be what they want instead of living according to who we are. This constant adaptation pulls us away from our center, our truth. The danger of living for others is that, in doing so, we no longer know who we are when the mask falls. Stoicism reminds us to seek our true nature, regardless of what others think. When we lose our authenticity, the soul ages faster than any external factor, as we live superficially, without a genuine connection to what's essential for our happiness. When we live to please others, our actions are driven by fear of judgment, the need to be accepted or admired. But this relentless pursuit never brings the peace we expect. On the contrary, it traps us in an invisible prison where we're captives of our own insecurities and fears. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom lies in acting according to our own values, without fearing external judgment. A person's true greatness lies in their ability to live authentically, true to themselves, regardless of expectations or criticism. When we allow ourselves to be who we are, with all our flaws and virtues, we find a deep peace that the pursuit of approval can never provide. And here lies the great paradox. By trying to be what others expect, we're actually moving away from our essence, our true purpose. The soul wears out when we stray from our inner truth, trying to fill a void that's really a disconnection from our deepest self. Thus, living for others not only prevents us from achieving inner peace, but also ages us spiritually, as it distances us from our authenticity. True power comes from within, from the courage to be who we are without masks or fears. But there's another mistake that also disrupts our inner balance, the fear of facing our own emotions. We're often taught to swallow our feelings, to hide our emotions to appear strong, as if showing vulnerability were a sign of weakness. However, repressing emotions isn't a sign of strength but of disconnection from our true essence. Emotions aren't enemies. They're important messages from our body and mind. When we choose to ignore or suppress them, we begin to lose the ability to experience life fully, as we're governed by what we're unwilling to face. This emotional repression, though seemingly controlled, ends up manifesting in other areas of life, causing internal disturbances that age the soul faster than anything else. Imagine your mind as a vast, fertile field where emotions are seeds. By ignoring them, you're letting those seeds rot in the soil, unable to grow and bloom. Instead of allowing each emotion, whether joy, sadness, anger, or fear, to follow its natural cycle, you keep them buried, without space to be understood and processed. Stoicism teaches us that there's no harm in feeling. What we must learn is to deal with these emotions constructively, without letting them control us. True strength lies in allowing emotions to come and go like waves in the sea, without trying to control or deny them. By doing so, we cultivate an inner balance that allows us to live more authentically and healthily. Emotional repression isn't just a matter of mental health, but also physical health. The constant stress caused by unresolved emotions can lead to illnesses, physical exhaustion, and over time, a feeling of being burned out, without energy or motivation to live. Self-care, then, isn't complete without caring for our emotions. When we learn to give voice to what we feel instead of stifling it, our soul is renewed. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Accepting our feelings is a crucial step toward a full and balanced life, where the mind and body work together, and the soul remains youthful, healthy, and alive. However, as we learn to handle our emotions, we encounter another profound mistake: mediocrity. Mediocrity is the silent enemy of the soul, acting slowly, subtly, but devastatingly. It doesn't arrive all at once, but is a consequence of the habit of not striving for excellence, of settling for good enough when we know we can go further. This mistake isn't always obvious because we often live a life that seems good enough. But deep down, the soul feels wasted. Stoicism teaches us that the constant pursuit of excellence isn't optional. It's a necessity. It's not about being perfect, but about being the best we can be in every moment, continually seeking personal growth and inner improvement. Living mediocrity reflects a mind accustomed to living without challenge, staying within the comfort zone. When we settle into our routine without seeking to learn something new or aim for something greater, our soul begins to wither. Inner growth stagnates, and with it, we age. Think of plants growing in fertile soil versus those in a small pot with no room to expand. The same happens to us. When we don't challenge ourselves, our soul becomes confined, with no space to flourish. True greatness comes from challenging ourselves, taking bold steps, even when fear arises. The Stoic understands that true freedom lies in the continuous pursuit of self-development. But how do we achieve excellence without overwhelming ourselves? The key lies in a balanced approach, where effort is constant, but respects our limits and capacity for adaptation. Stoicism teaches us that excellence isn't achieved in a single leap, but through small, daily, consistent steps. This includes not only intellectual development, but also care for physical, emotional, and spiritual health. The pursuit of excellence should be a balanced journey, where each effort is made with mindfulness, without haste or pressure to be perfect. Instead of fighting mediocrity with force, we should embrace the journey of growth with wisdom. However, this process of personal improvement often encounters a significant obstacle: fear. And fear, as we'll see next, is another great enemy of the soul. Fear is a powerful emotion that can paralyze us, leaving us on the sidelines of life, watching time pass while we're trapped in the invisible chains of what could have been. The truth is that fear, when left unchecked, ages our soul in a silent and devastating way. It prevents us from acting, taking risks, and living fully. Instead of seeking new opportunities, we retreat to the safety of our comfort zone, which, though seemingly comfortable, actually imprisons us in a life of limitations. Stoicism, with its philosophy of accepting what we cannot control, teaches us to face fear head-on without letting it control us. Life must be lived with courage, not caution. Fear will never fully disappear, but we can learn to manage it and use its energy to our advantage. When we live with fear, we avoid making important decisions, daring to act, or pursuing our dreams. Fear convinces us we're not good enough, that we lack the tools to achieve what we want. But the reality is that fear is often just an illusion created by our mind, a projection of what we dread that rarely comes true. By letting fear control us, we sacrifice our freedom, our ability to live with intention and purpose. Stoicism teaches us to be prepared to face life's challenges without letting fear stop us from acting. Only then can we discover how much we're capable of, how much we can grow and transform. Letting fear control us is a form of self-sabotage. Every time we avoid a challenge out of fear, we weaken our soul, missing the chance to become stronger and wiser. True strength isn't the absence of fear, but the courage to face it. Fear is a natural reaction, but letting it dictate our actions is the mistake that ages our soul. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. As Seneca said, most of human happiness depends on knowing how to control fear, not avoiding life's dangers. Life begins when we go beyond what fear imposes, and that's the path to true freedom. But as we learn to control fear, there's something else that often prevents us from living fully: a lack of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful pillars for maintaining the youth of the soul. When we fail to recognize the value of the small things, we allow life's wear and tear to affect us without resistance. A lack of gratitude makes us focus on what's missing, what we haven't achieved, instead of appreciating what we already have and what we've accomplished. This focus on emptiness, rather than abundance, ages our soul in an invisible but profound way. Stoicism teaches us to look at every moment with gratitude, understanding that everything that happens is an opportunity for growth and learning, even when circumstances seem challenging. When we practice gratitude, our perception of life transforms, and with it, our energy, vitality, and spirit are renewed. Imagine life as a blank canvas, and with every moment, you have the chance to paint with vibrant colors. Gratitude is the paint that brings this canvas to life. Without it, life becomes colorless, dull, like an unfinished work. When we ignore what we have and what we've achieved, we lose the flavor of life and allow bitterness to replace joy. The Stoic, however, understands that there's always something to be grateful for, no matter the difficulties. Even in adversity, there are lessons to learn, strengths to forge. Gratitude connects us to the present, makes us see what's in front of us, and gives us the strength to move forward. It's a simple daily practice with a profound impact on our soul. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring life's challenges, but recognizing the value each moment and experience brings. This not only brings clarity to our path, but also nourishes our soul, slowing spiritual aging as the spirit becomes stronger and more resilient. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Be grateful for each day, for it is a gift." By cultivating this habit, we not only transform our view of the world around us, but also become more present, more connected to the moment. A lack of gratitude, on the other hand, pulls us away from the present and traps us in the past or future, where opportunities for growth and appreciation of the now are lost. And as we cultivate gratitude, the soul strengthens. But there's something even more fundamental that drives us toward true balance: purpose. Living without purpose is like sailing a boat without a rudder, being carried by the currents of an unknown ocean. A lack of direction not only prevents us from reaching our true goals, but also makes us lose our way in life itself. When we don't know where we're headed, we let ourselves be carried by routine, others' expectations, or the flow of circumstances. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom begins when we have clarity about what we want, when we know where we're going. Purpose isn't an external pursuit, but an internal discovery that gives us the strength to move forward, even in the face of difficulties. Without purpose, the soul loses its shine, fading slowly like a flame without fuel. Imagine life as a winding road. Without a clear destination, we start to wander aimlessly. A soul without purpose is like barren land where nothing flourishes, where potential is never fully explored. When we don't know why we're here, we accept what life offers without questioning, without seeking more. The Stoic, however, understands that purpose lies within each of us, giving us the strength to overcome adversities. Finding your purpose isn't something that happens overnight. It's a constant journey of self-awareness and reflection. When we have a clear purpose, life becomes more meaningful, more intense, as every step we take is guided by a greater vision of who we are and what we want to achieve. Living with purpose gives us the courage to move forward, even when obstacles seem insurmountable. Purpose is the compass that guides us, keeping us steady even when the path becomes tough. A soul with purpose is a youthful soul, as it's in constant motion, always evolving. It doesn't stagnate. It seeks to grow and learn continuously. As Seneca says, life is not short, we make it short. When we have purpose, every moment becomes valuable, every action an opportunity to build the life we want. And as we seek this purpose, we often encounter another mistake that weakens our soul: disconnection from nature. Nature, with its serene beauty and perfect cycles, has always been a profound source of wisdom and healing for the human spirit. Yet, in the hustle of modern life, we often drift away from this primal connection. We live in enclosed spaces, surrounded by concrete and technology, forgetting that we're part of something greater, something that connects and sustains us. When we disconnect from nature, we lose one of the greatest resources for keeping our soul youthful and healthy. Stoicism, with its deep reverence for the natural order of the universe, teaches us that harmony with the natural world is essential for inner balance. Nature offers everything we need to renew our energy, clear our minds, and heal our emotions. Imagine nature as a great mirror, reflecting what's within us. When we spend time immersed in it, our soul calms, our tensions fade, and our mind finds clarity. The simple act of walking through a park, listening to the sound of trees swaying in the wind, or observing the cycle of seasons connects us to something far deeper than daily distractions. Nature teaches us to respect the flow of life, to understand that there are times to grow and times to rest. When we're in harmony with the natural world, our soul not only renews but also strengthens, as we recognize our connection to the whole. Disconnection, on the other hand, distances us from our own essence and leaves us vulnerable to emotional and mental wear. The Stoic sees nature as a reflection of the inner universe. By distancing ourselves from it, we also distance ourselves from ourselves. Modern life, with its demands and pressures, encourages us to live hurriedly and disconnected, but true balance comes from harmony with the world around us. When we breathe fresh air, touch the earth with our hands, and allow ourselves to absorb nature's energy, our soul strengthens, our mind balances, and we become more present, more centered. Nature is, without a doubt, a remedy for the aged soul, a way to rejuvenate spiritually. By reconnecting with it, we not only renew our energy, but also revitalize our life's purpose, giving us a new perspective on what truly matters. Now that you've had the chance to reflect on the 11 mistakes that accelerate your soul's aging, it's time to put this knowledge into practice. Ask yourself, what changes can you make today to live with more purpose, balance, and gratitude? Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't put it off. Transformation begins now, and it depends on your choices, your actions, and your willingness to live more authentically. Each of us carries the power to rejuvenate, reinvent, and live according to what truly matters. So what will you do from this moment on? It's not just about watching this video, but internalizing these lessons and applying them to your daily life. Change begins the moment you decide to be more aware of your habits, more attentive to your emotions, and more connected to your inner truth. If you're ready for this transformation, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Now, it's up to you. Time is precious, and your soul deserves the best. Let's embark on this journey of growth and wisdom together.